Okay, going on with the Song of Moses here. And this is from Deuteronomy 32, and we're going to pick it up here in verse 8. And he says, When the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. And for Yahuwah's portion is his people, and Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. And those are the people that keep these laws. There's going to be a remnant out of here. And the last time we covered, if you want to start trying to find your way back to these laws, you ask your great-great-grandfather, or the oldest person alive, and ask them if they did those wicked things, 60, 80, 100 years ago. And they'll certainly tell you no, and that we've turned to the worst. Going on in verse 10 of 32, he said, He found him in a desert land and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about, he instructed him, he kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, and beareth them on her wings. So Yahuwah alone did lead him, and there was no strange god with him. He made him to ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields, and he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock. Now it's very interesting. He says, no strange god. And earlier he said, in the previous session, that we turn to strange gods. Now we now call it the same thing, this Jesus God, but we now have churches that are marrying sodomites. Now if you ask people 60 or 80 years ago if that was, the church, and if that was the Son of God, promoting that and everything, they'd say, no, that's abomination. But today that's what we're doing. And we have churches that are promoting all kinds of strange ideas and wickedness, that you don't have to keep these laws, that it's okay, you can go on sinning. It's really, these are new strange gods. We may be trying to call them the same thing. We're making gods out of our own heart, of our own desire. Going on here in 32:14. Butter of kine, the milk of sheep, the fat of lambs, the rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats, and the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou did drink the pure blood of the grape. He's talking about our blessings in America over there in Great Britain. But Jeshurun waxed fat. Now that's the symbolic name for Israel, the end-time Israel. Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. And then he forsook God, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. That's the Heavenly Father, Yahuwah. And they provoked him to jealousy with the strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. Now these are abominations. And we started into these some 40, 50 years ago with women wearing, one of the things is cross-dressing. Women wearing men's clothes and now we got men wearing women's clothes. He calls that abomination, calls it that same thing, abomination. These murdering your baby in the womb, these 70 million abortions, these innocent babies, abominations. On and on they go, and the latest are sodomite marriage. He calls that abomination. So this is clearly identifying us, these latter days. And 32:17, they sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came up newly, whom your fathers feared not. And of the rock that begot thee thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten the God that formed thee. This accurately describes Americans. This last vote, when they re-vote in a Muslim that doesn't even have a birth certificate, and he just approved sodomite marriage, and that's who we vote in as our leader. Oh, we have forgotten our God. We're just unmindful. And going on, he says, and when Yahuwah saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their latter end shall be, for they are a very froward or perverse generation, children in whom is no faith or obedience. The word for faith there, the definition for faith is obedience. And that describes us accurately. Very perverse, spreading our perversity, we call it diversity, around the world, and we have no obedience to these laws anymore. We don't like these laws. We think they're kooky and crazy. Most Americans do. Going on in 32:21, they have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people, and I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. So we now have the war on terror over there, and we don't even have a people this terror group that's supposedly, causing you to get patted down at the airport and everything else, grope downs, they're not even a people. They're just kind of scattered supposedly throughout the Middle East, and we bomb indiscriminately. And he's going to provoke us to anger with a foolish nation, and that's what we have. We have other nations that are gonna bomb us. He tells us who: Iran, Syria, Turkey, Russia. They're listed in Jeremiah 51 if you want to read about it. Going on, he says in Deuteronomy 32:22, "For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn into the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with their increase, and set on fire the foundations of mountains. And I will heap mischiefs upon them, and I will spend mine arrows upon them, and they shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat and bitter destruction." Do you know what he's saying? This is describing the nuclear bomb war that's coming for America. This is it. Yeah, you need to read this and try to grab a hold of this. This fire that's going to burn into the lowest grave and consume mountains, foundations, that's nuclear bomb war. I will heap mischiefs and spend my arrows. Those are those shiny, bright arrows described in one of those Jeremiah Isaiah passages I've shared with you other times. Isaiah 47-48, Jeremiah 15:51, Habakkuk 1 and 2. Yeah, those are the missiles he's talking about, shiny arrows. He's going to spend on us, and they're going to devour us with burning heat and bitter destruction. We'll be, like Revelation 18 says, we will be utterly burned with fire in 1 hour, as it describes New York City, the place where all the kings of the earth come to fornicate at the United Nations, and how all nations are made rich by her. This is us. This is us. Going on, he says, "I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, and the poison of serpents of the dust, and the sword outside and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling and the man of gray hairs." That's what we have. We got inside terror and outside terror. I don't know what's worse. Our own guys that are patting you down and groping you down and threatening to steal your firearms, and we're going to probably have riots in the streets before this is done. And on the outside, we have terror too. Yeah, like those 9/11 towers, I think, take a look at Inside Job on all that. Going on at 32:26, "I said I would scatter them into the corners, and I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men, were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, and lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and they should say, Our hand is high, and Yahuwah hath not done all this. For they are a nation void of counsel, and neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, and that they understood this, and that they would consider their latter end." Now, we are definitely not considering our latter end. You go to the Sunday preachers, you learn that you don't have to do any of this law. They're Marian sodomites down at most of these now. It is unbelievable where we've fallen to. And we must be just a nation void of counsel. You look at it. We print these dollars like they're going out of style. We're bombing everybody in the Middle East over there. We're alienating those nations, and boy, we're making them mad at us, and with good cause. Our Predator drones just took out 18 people in Pakistan a couple weeks ago. Yeah, they don't like that. We're not at war with them. And this describes us. We've become a nation void of counsel. Void of counsel. Yeah. And he goes on, "How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them and Yahuwah had shut them up? For not as our rock." Yeah, their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. What's he talking about there? Well, you're calling who you call Jesus, the Son, the rock of your salvation. He's not the rock. The Heavenly Father is. Yeah, Heavenly Father, Yahuwah, is the rock of our salvation. Yeah, and that Jesus God is who people have made up, saying we don't have to keep these laws anymore. And those are terrible laws. We shouldn't have been persecuting those poor queers. We shouldn't have locked them up in jails. We should have let them get married all these years. And it's just unbelievable what's going on. And we should legalize this abortion so you can kill your own baby in the womb. The Heavenly Father has sold us. And this is the only way that such a small group is going to put America to flight. You're going to be astonished when this comes to pass. One or two of those Hezbollah guys with some nukes or whatever, rockets, will put 1,000 of us to flight. Because we're going to be turned over by our Heavenly Father. Oh, we'll pick this up in the next session and continue from here.